Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is very much highly requested. It is the full review of the Florasis Beauty. If you followed my channel for a while, you probably know collectively I've bought 80 to 90% of the makeup items from the Florasis Beauty. Personally, I really love this brand and I've been using very often as well. I feel this is a little bit underrated Chinese makeup brand that should be recognized globally and internationally. So today I'm going to review all the products that I've bought from Florasis. So they are going to be old versus new, such as their pressed powders. They have the original version, then they have a newer developed version. So we're going to compare which one is better and their pros and cons. And today's video is going to be very long. If it is too long, I will split this into part 1 and part 2. So being a little bit cheesy here, don't forget to subscribe my channel and you won't miss any of my videos. So before I start giving my reviews, I need to reiterate my skin type and kind of my expectations, because if your skin condition is different, the skin type is different, and your expectation is different, it's very much influence your thoughts on whether you like this product or not. So my skin type is combined oily skin, majority having T-zones and surround my nose areas very much getting face oils. Without setting my makeup, my face oil will coming out after just a couple of hours. With good foundation and setting powder with the setting sprays normally can last for 6 to 8 hours without too much face oil coming out. My under eye area is drier than before. I think it's because of the age. And I do have dark circles, eye bag, and the dark circles surround my mouth area. My biggest problem with my skin is the pores and sometimes the acne and the spot. That's my skin type. So if you are different skin type, just pick the information you feel you need. So what I'm going to do is really much follow my makeup steps that start from, for example, the primer, then move on to concealer, move on to foundation, so forth, so forth. The primer, I have this 3. This is a setting spray as well as a primer, but I will start talk about this one first. The full name is, let me just get the full English name, as they only have the Chinese name there. This one is called Yurong Camellia Nourishing Primer. There are 3 options for you. One is more hydrating, nourishing, suitable for dry skin, and my one is number 2, which is matte finish, but more oil control and more suitable for combined oily to oily skin. Then they have another one that is have a slightly color in there, and that one more for even up your skin tone. So let's talk about the texture first. The texture is very much like a face cream, and when you smudge it out, considering my one is oil controlled one, you still feel very hydrating. It says it's a matte finish. It's not a completely matte. It's very much, how to say, is bring your skin back to the feel that when you just finish washing your face, once you dry it without putting any face cream on, that type of finish. It's no sticky at all. You feel your skin is very hydrating and very, how to say, very smooth. Because it's designed for oily skin, so it also have the function in terms of fill up your pores, but it's not use silicone or that type of ingredients in there. In terms of pore minimizing, personally I feel it's average. There are better primers than this, such as Benefit Pore Professional, Uniqlo's Roosevelt primer, I think that's what it's called. But in terms of oil control, this one is very good. For my skin, this one can control up to about 4-5 hours without noticing face oil coming out from that perspective. Overall, this primer is a very good primer to use. Then next one, let's talk about this one. You've probably seen this appeared a lot in my videos, and you probably see I only have this much left, considering this is 150 ml. I use this as a primer as well as a setting spray. The full name of this one is Flower Water Antioxidant Makeup Setting Spray. So the main function is supposed to be to delay or to avoid any foundation or face makeups to get oxidized on the face. Does really prevent that? I can't overly tell, but what I can say is this one does extend your makeup, make it last longer. While I use this as a primer as well as a setting spray, my makeup can extend for additional 2 hours without any problem. So if you need to wear a makeup for over 8 or extend to 10 hours, this one would definitely help you. And the other great thing I like it is because it's a spray in it. I just spray it on the face, a little tap, then it gets absorbed. This one so far, it hasn't worked against any foundations that I have. The only downside for this is the head. When you just bought it, the spray is not too bad. It isn't. I wouldn't describe it's become like a mist and a very fine. No, it's not. You clearly tells the water coming out. It is literally like a water spray, but it's not like uneven. However, after used about a month or so, the spray, I don't know whether it gets a little bit stuck or somewhere in the spray, it gets very uneven. I don't know whether you guys can see. It's kind of, it's going up and down. You probably can't see clearly from the camera, but the spray currently, what it goes is going up and down. It's like touch your face like this. Psst, 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 like that. So sometimes like you feel middle hasn't get any spray, but top and bottom that has full of it. So I kind of need to tilt a little bit and to get the full face evened out. But other than that, you know, you can tell whether I like it or not. The last one is the sunblock primer. Highly recommend everyone to have one. The texture, it is creamier and more like solid creamier compared to the first nourishing primer. This one is from the texture's perspective, this one you will feel way much lighter than this. This is literally like night cream, thick night cream, that type of texture. Once you smudge it out for the first 30 seconds, you do feel it seems a little bit sticky and, you know, start getting a little bit hard to be massaged in. Once you get over that, it's absorbed immediately by your skin and it does not move to anywhere. Besides, this has a lightening function in there. So if you see the difference between this one and this one, is have a slightly like evened up your skin tone and to lighten it up a little bit, not get white. So the things I hate about certain sunblock is make your face look gray white. I really don't like that type of, you know, color finish on your face. This one is lightened up a little bit, no coverage by the way. So you will need to have a good skin condition yourself. You don't have too much, you know, acne like this. Then you can literally just put this one on. If you need to set it, then ready to go. This is very efficient and effective to be used on its own, based on you don't have too much skin trouble itself. Alternatively, great to be used as a base. Once it's been absorbed, you touch the surface again, you literally just feel like you touch your original face skin. You don't feel there were anything put on top of it. No stickiness at all. And so far, I've tried this with all the foundations I have in my collection. It doesn't work against with any foundations I have so far. Besides, it has SPF 50+, PA 3+. Just to add last note, you're probably gonna ask me if I use this one, would I still use a sunblock? Yes, I would. However, especially during hot days, what I would tend to do is instead of putting 2 layers of sunblock on my face, I will put 1 layer of sunblock, then followed by 1 layer of this primer. And well, you guys witness my face color. Well, certainly I don't feel my skin gone one shade darker. Then before we talk about foundation, I'm going to talk about this concealer palette. The full name is Smooth Tricolor Concealer. This is what it looks like. Ignore the dirtiness of the palette itself. As you can tell, I've been using it. So you have 3 colors, light yellow color for lightening the center of your face, and you have slightly darker color for cover the acne and spot marks. Then you have orange, more orange tone based color for the dark circles under your eyes. So first, let's talk about the formulation. The formulation itself, it is very smooth, very creamy, and easy to be blended out. However, because this orange color is still have this stronger color pigmentation, therefore you kind of want to use this before the foundation, right? Otherwise the orange will look very weird if you use after the foundation. But if you use before the foundation, because the formulation, it is very, very creamy, therefore if you don't set it, once you put another layer of foundation on, they all pretty much been removed. So it's kind of pointless to do it before the foundation. But this color in particular, you can't really use after the foundation. So the formulation and the color is kind of against each other, in my opinion. So like today, I purposely didn't recover this. To be honest, I can't really blame on somebody else, but it's my own fault that I keep eating spicy food. So my acne here is being on and off, hasn't been fully recovered. So today, I used this darker color to cover it before the foundation. Then I even waited to let it kind of dry. Then I put the layer of foundation on, brush a little bit blush on. This concealer came off again. So it's not really grip on your skin. But I suppose the benefit for that is not easy to get crease. So it will be down to your skin condition and your skin type whether this palette will be suit to you or not. Bear that in mind. So this is the Yurong flower. I think it's called Yurong flower. I don't know how to translate that into English. I think it's just called Yurong Flower Nourishing Foundation, and this is their cushion foundation, Lotus Skin-Nourishing Cushion Foundation. So these 2 of them I bought, as you can tell by the design of the bottle. They're more skin matte finish and more suitable for combined oily to oily skin. In the collection itself, they do have a different one, more suitable for dry skin. Let's talk about the formulation. The bottled foundation, it is very, very creamy. It is literally feel like a whipped cream. And the cushion foundation, let me just put it next to each other. This one is from the bottle and this one is the cushion foundation. From the textures perspective, the bottles one in the bottle, it is lighter and creamier than the cushion foundation. The Lotus one, it is little bit stickier compared to the Yurong flower one. From coverage perspective, both of them are not full coverage, but definitely medium to high coverage. How I feel about this 2 is I personally would prefer Yurong Nourishing foundation. It is because of the formulation. For the Lotus cushion foundation, the few times I used the puff that come with. It is a very good puff to use, don't get me wrong, but I find if you just use the puff itself, it can make your makeup looks very heavy. I tried it with different primers and I couldn't get to the skin finish I prefer. I always feel this is a little bit too heavy until I change it to a damped sponge. Though I feel the finish is way much better than using the puff. In terms of the finish, both of them are very similar. because of the coverage both of them provide, it is heavier than some light foundation. You will be able to tell that today you had a foundation on, although it's very much a skin matte finish. So it's not turns to a completely matte like a cake you put a mask on. It still contains a little bit of skin glow on that, but it is heavier than a lot of foundations. It is, for example, in my opinion, it is heavier than Giorgio Armani's Fabric foundation. It is heavier than By Terry's foundation. This cushion foundation, it is heavier than the Giorgio Armani's cushion foundation. If you're oily skin, I think you would absolutely love them. If you're combined oily skin like myself, for the under eye area, surround certain area, you may still get a little bit dry, then you do need to fully prepare your face for two of them. In terms of lasting, two of them is very similar. For my face, I need to set it with powder without the setting spray. Two of them can hold up to 6 hours without any problem. And the beautiful thing about two of them is the more face oil is come out, once they merged with your face oil, it can miraculously reduce the heaviness visually that when people see on your face. It actually turns out more like your own skin. Both of them will give you that type of finish, which is absolutely amazing. In terms of whether they get oxidized or not, when you do the swatches on the hand, you will feel the cushion foundation seems to get oxidized a little bit. The bottle one not so much, but once you apply on the face, two of them will stay as it is. They will not continue being oxidized. So my recommendation is, I personally would prefer the Yurong Flower Nourishing Foundation over the cushion one. I think it's because the overall performance, I feel bottled one is more stable and more self-depending. Powders! I have 4 of them. How I would do is only I have one translucent loosing powder. They do have a newer version of this one come out as well. It's on its way. It hasn't arrived yet, but I can't really wait for this video to be delayed again. So let's just compare this 4. Okay, what I would do is let's talk about this translucent powder, loose powder first. I can tell you the conclusion. I absolutely love this one. This one appeared in a lot of my videos. First of all, I really like the design. Talk about design, Florasis. Oh, if you haven't experienced Florasis, you absolutely have to try out this brand. This brand's design is very unique. Attention to details above high-end expectations. I put my words down here. So once you open the cap, you see the puff on the top, then you have a small lid. This lid is really help to stop the powders going everywhere. And when you open the lid, so in here you have another protecting sheet. How I normally use it is I will put puff on top of it, then tilt it upside down, tap the back a little bit, and ready to use. And then just smudge it a little bit, get it even on the puff, then just tap on the face. The reason I absolutely love this one is because of the finish. The finish is not a completely matte finish, although visually it is. So the finish, it is very similar like NARS pressed powder, which is this one. This one I think I mentioned in my previous videos. The miracle of NARS powder is when you look face to face or from mirror, it looks like matte finish, but when you look really into details, it seems to have a little bit sheen in there and make your face look like natural skin glow. This one has similarity of that, but different formulation. The powder itself, it is really fine. So let me just get a little bit out to just put next to NARS. Okay, as you probably can see a little bit now. Okay, here is Florasis, this one is NARS. Did you see? Just look at their reflection. Don't look at the formulation details, but look at the reflection. two of them is very similar, but Florasis have different formulation. When you look at this in person, you will feel there is some of kind of a shimmer, very fine shimmer dust in NARS pressed powder, but when you look at Florasis one, you don't see the shine or sheen dust in there. Even when you look in hand, it looks matte, but when you tilt it, it has silk reflection. You know, it's like you see the surface. Some surface, although it's not a mirror, because it's so smooth, you will be able to see the reflection. So I think that's probably the best way to describe it. Because it's so fine and make your face so smooth, therefore give you a very nice skin glow. The blur effect, this one is really good for your pores area. So I don't know whether you guys can see. My one is pretty much visually help you to minimize it. In terms of long lasting, this one does last long. However, the newer version of the pressed powder can last even longer than the translucent loosing powder. So let's come to the pressed powder. We talk about this carved one first. This has a beautiful pattern in there. I don't know whether there are formulation difference. When you swatch this with other pressed powders, you don't feel too much formulation difference, but the performance, this would be my least preference. I can't explain why, but every time I use this one, out of all this, for lasting, this one lasts the least. For minimizing the pores, this one is the lowest performance. For the finish, this one will make your face turns to a completely matte. If you just buy because of the packaging, this is not a bad powder to use, but as you do have choices in Florasis Beauty, then I would recommend to choose either the translucent powder or the new version of the pressed powder. Compare the new one with the old one. First of all is the packaging. So this is the older version, original one. This is the newer version. Look at the design. Oh, the new version is way much more prettier compared to the old version. Look at the size. Size is similar. It's just in different shape. But look at this. The original one is more bulkier compared to this one. When you open inside, the new one comes with a puff. The older one doesn't come with a puff, but depends on what the promotions they're doing. When you buy the product, sometimes they will give you free puff that you can put on top of it, so then you can close it. Then the inside, the older version have a cap to protect, and the new version doesn't have that. It's straight away you will see the thin puff. We talk about the puff later. Let's talk about the formulation. When you look from the pot, there is no visual difference between them. When you do the swatches, I personally don't feel any difference as well. But when you read more information about the newer versions, they introduce even finer and greater grinding technology into this newer pressed powder to make it even finer and dustier than the older version, which result in an even long-lasting and more silky smooth finish. The newer version does have like 10% greater performance than the older version. So if you have to choose between the older and the new version, I would suggest go for the new one straight away. In terms of long lasting, the newer version one for my face lasts the longest. This one can go up to 6 hours. Sometimes if I stay indoor, this one can do up to 7 hours without seeing too much face oil coming out, which is absolutely a miracle for my skin type. Then the puff that come with, first time when I received that, when I see this puff, I'll be like, this is a bit cheap and cheerful, isn't it? You know, compared with their original one. It's very puffy, very fine, and very so nice to apply with the original puff. When I look at this, I was just like, are you kidding me? But when I use this with the newer version one, it is giving you a great result actually. So how I use this one is I will use the puff first. Because it's very thin, therefore it's very easy to control by your finger. And you can very much easily to touch the area that you had your concealer on. Then for the rest of the face, I will use a brush to gently go all over my face. The difference between the pressed powder and the translucent loosing powder is the finish. The baked pressed powder is completely a matte finish. The translucent powder, it has a good skin finish. It's very much about your preference. Long lasting, the pressed powder lasts longer than this loosing powder. So then shall we move on to the eyebrows or move on to the contour or blush? I think I did eyebrow first today. So let's talk about eyebrow pencil. I have two. So these are the two eyebrow pencil. This is older version, this is new version. The difference clearly can tell, and the older version is longer and have slightly lighter green shade than the new version. And the newer version on both cap has slightly like colored pattern. I don't know whether you guys can see on there. But anyway, the most important is the inside. The similarity are having the little brush at one end, which is very good because of the size is slim enough, therefore it's very easy to manage. The difference is the older version, it is more, let me get it out. It is more like square type of shaped pencil. So it is thicker as well. And the newer version, it is a very slim pencil. I think they said it's 0.5 millimeters. Oh, sorry, it is 0.9 millimeter. Let's talk about the pros and cons, okay, for both of them. This is the older version. The older version, it is very good eyebrow pencil to use. The thickness and the hardness of the pencil itself is very much to my preference. I don't like it too soft, which will give you higher pigmentation, but very easy to get dirty and hard to be corrected. And it is neither too hard, which means too less pigment, then you need to draw your brow hair like that forever. This is just about right. And because of the triangle shape, if you want to do individual hair, you can use more pointed side. There's more pointed side. And if you want the more like a foggy natural finish, you can just use the triangle more thicker side to draw your eyebrow shape. The newer version, this side is the new version. To compare with the older one, you can straight away tell the benefit of the new one. It can make the lines go even thinner. If you really like a fluffy eyebrow, I would highly recommend the new one. You can use the brow gel first to let your brow, lift in shape, and use this fine pencil to really much just draw the individual hair and to make you brow look like you're born with it. However, the downside for this is because it is so slim, it is very easy to be broken. So even when I just do a few stripes on my hand, it broke twice on me. So every time when I use this pencil, I will always break at least once. So that's something you got to be bear in mind, as most of us are not professional. So of course, it comes with practice, but just bear that in mind. In terms of the outcome and the performance, both of them are very good. Just really depends on how good you are with your eyebrow pencil. If you are beginners, definitely go for the older version, okay? The older version will be like a no mistake one. Okay, let's talk about the contour palettes, blush, and the highlighter altogether. The contour palette, I think I gave my first impression on my review on one of my videos. The full name is Peony Sculpting Contour Palette. show you this way. This is their Sculpting Contour Powder. The two colors in the middle for highlighting, or the topper for your eye colors. This is more like cool tone blue base, and the other one is more cool tone pink base. That's the two colors from the middle. And this is the highlighting powder. This is the highlighting powder. For this palette, personally, I only like the sculpting powder because of the color. The color is very much neutral tone for light skin or light yellow skin tone. It is neither cool tone or neither too warm tone. It has good level of gray and brownness in there. Therefore, when you apply on Asian type of skin, it make very natural shadow, that type of color. It doesn't make too chocolatey or make your face look dirty. The rest of them, the highlighting powder, I feel the performance is very much average. The two colors in middle, personally, I definitely wouldn't use as a highlighter because they're too colored. So I only used as a kind of the topper for some of the eye looks I create. And for the highlighting powder it is a champagne color, but the pigmentation is too natural in a way, and a little bit too goldy for my liking. So once you apply on the face, it gives you a very subtle natural finish, but it's a little bit yellowy and goldy finish undertone on your skin. The good things for this palette is the powder. The powder, again, with Florasis Beauty, this brand, the quality of individuals is very good. It's high-end and sometimes even above high-end quality expectations. It is more about whether it's suitable or not for us. This palette I am only probably give about 2 stars because so far I only really much use the sculpting powder. They really should just bring this sculpting powder out as an individual contour powder. I will definitely stock it up. It is really good, but for the rest, it's very much average. You easily to find a replacement or even better performance than the rest of it. As I was disappointed with the highlighters from the palette, right? The individual highlighter from the Florasis is amazing, absolutely amazing. This one I bought is called Peach Blossom Carved Flower Pattern Highlighter. Show you the inside. Oh, this is a beautiful champagne highlighter. Can you see? It is like shock metallic wet highlighter. But when you dust on the face, it is natural enough. And I really like the color design they did, because champagne color sometimes can go really goldy and yellowy, which I really don't like. But this champagne color is just about right. It has like a light yellow undertone, but not so much. And there is no glitter in there. It is very fine. It's literally like a stripe of sheen on there. This is absolutely amazing formulation. If you're looking for highlighters, you want to be visible and natural, go for the Florasis, this one. I have in color number 1. Then move on to the blush. I only bought one blush. I explain why. It is called Peony Rosy Blush, and my color is 08. So here's the blush, and this is like the highlighter. For the blush, I think the performance is average. It is not a bad blush to use. The formulation of the blush, it is similar like their eyeshadow. It is not powdery. It is more like solid mashed potato. So when you press it in, you feel it's a little bit wet, but when you apply on the face, it melts into your skin very well. So the formulation, it is very good. But in terms of the color that they created, it does not surprise me. It's kind of like it's nice, but nothing special. There are so many gold rosy color like this. The finish is not completely matte, it's a satin finish, which is a good thing, give you a natural skin glow on the face. For the highlighter itself, don't use it on its own. It's very goldy when you use it on its own. It's very much just to support the blush, not make it too rosy pink and have a little bit of yellowness to mix together, will give you a more suitable petal color for light yellow skin tone.